some support on your presentation.
In fact, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'm going to go to that support, and they're much more than support for an update on the construction projects that we've accomplished over the off season. It's the more interesting of the two reports.
Awesome. Thank you, Eric. So good afternoon, Chairman and members of the board. My name is Angelina Jimenez. I am an Engineer 1 for our engineering department. And joining me today for this presentation is also Angel Madera. He is an Engineer 1 in our engineering department. So today we will be providing a construction update on the off-season projects for 2024 and 2025. Next slide. So on this slide is a list of projects that we will be going over. To the right of the screen, it is a picture taken at one of our project sites that is quite interesting. From this photo, you can see a variation between two of our facilities. So the ditch on the left is the La Cerca Acequia, and the ditch on the right is the Prata Main Canal. So you can see a very difference of geometry that that our facilities do. Next slide. So the first project on this list is the Bosque Lateral Number 1 Wasteway, located along Bernalillo, New Mexico, and in the Santa Ana Pueblo. This has been broken up into two parts. The first part of the project was completed by our on-call contractor for the amount of $312,776. The second part of the project is expected to be completed by our Co-TT division to cut out the wasteway channel and do some grading. So the photo on the right shows one area of the completed work done by our contractor. This is a new weir structure that will function as a junction where the flow will be able to go perpendicular to the Bosque lateral towards the Atrisco feeder. Next slide. So in this video, you can see the work completed at the outlet section of the new wasteway inside the Atrisco feeder that is lined with riprap for erosion control. Now, along this section of the field, our division will be creating the new wasteway section that will tie into the inlet and outlet concrete sections that were shown in this video. The final part of this project will also be some bank grading along the Bosque Lateral Number 1. Next slide. So the second project on our list is the Las Cercas pilot project with Rubicon Gates. This is located in Los Lunas, New Mexico. In the picture is the location of the Prata Main Canal and the heading of the La Cerca Acequia, just south of New Mexico 6. The project amount is for the work completed by our contractor for the improvements on the check structure in the channel and the modification of the La Cerca's heading, including the gate installations, for a total amount of $108,920. No, you're good. So the photo on the right captures the work completed inside the Peralta Main Canal at check number 10 and the improvements done on the outlet section of the Las Cercas Acequia. Next slide. So here are a couple of photos that show a closer view of the work done at the check structure. And the photo on the left, you can see the two outermost bays that were constructed, housing two of our Rubicon flume gates. And the middle gate is in the works of being cut to match the same elevation of the skimmer walls by our Berlin division. And the photo to the right shows a better perspective of the Rubicon slip meter gate that was installed as the heading for the La Cerca Acequia. And the ditch can be seen closer to the top of the photo. Next slide. And so now I will pass it on to my colleague Angel.
Hello, Chairman and members of the board. I'm Angel Madera, Engineer 1 for the Engineering Department. Another project where we'll be using some Rubicon gates is the Peralta Wasteway project in Belen. This project includes the pouring of a new concrete wall and the installation of two Rubicon slip meter gates. This project is complete. The total cost was $74,380, which was only the cost for the gates. Our Belen division installed the gates under the supervision of some of the Rubicon's staff. In the image shown, we can see the two new slip meters within the wasteway. Next slide, please. One of our bigger projects this offseason is Socorro Main Canal lining phase 2. Currently, we have spent $2,715,852, and we're about 80% complete for this offseason. This video could you just play on the video, Josh? Oh, it's playing. This video shows placement of some of the concrete cabinas and some farming of the long crested weir in the northern part of the video. Next slide, please. This project involved lining with a new product called concrete canvas. In the image on the left, we have the aerial view of the amount of concrete canvas that has been placed in the duration of this project. In the image shown on the right, we can see the contractor's crew installing some concrete canvas using an excavator to help roll the canvas across the canal.
Is that on the left side, is that an arroyo that you went under, or what is that?
Correct, that is in one of the.
Is that San Lorenzo or which?
It's the one just north of San Lorenzo. I don't remember the name of it.
So they've passed 2 arroyos then?
Correct.
There's no more to go. No more arroyos to go.
Correct.
So have they got to where? I don't recognize that, but have they got to 408? Have they got south of, if they've gone under 2 arroyos, there's only 2 to go under, right?
Yes, and it stopped at the San Lorenzo Arroyo. That was the end of the concrete campus.
South of it or north of it?
North of it.
So they didn't go under San Lorenzo.
Correct.
And Mr. Chairman, members of the board, remember this is, we have more money than we can spend this year. So their planned stopping spot, they will then pick up and continue next off season and continuing south.
Next slide, please. Within the same location of the channel lining project, we currently have another project, which is the low flow conveyance channel maintenance project. This project focuses on clearing and dredging the low flow conveyance channel. The total project cost of this project is $4,957,030, with $992,000 spent to date, which is about 20% complete. In the image shown, we can see the low flow between the Socorro Main Canal on the right and the BNSF Railroad on the left. You can clearly see the section at the top of the photo that has already been cleared and the section at the bottom that still needs clearing. Next slide, please. Oh.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, just for context there, the low flow conveyance channel project extends all the way till July. It extends beyond the irrigation season. So it's not, that O&M work is not confined by the start of irrigation season.
Okay, next slide.
Could you stay there just a moment? Right there on the Santa Casia Dam, if I could. If I'm right, isn't there something called a minnow gate right there? It's an electronic gate. Is that not right?
We have several gates right there on that section, but yes, there is a minnow gate there.
Could we not use these, I don't know what they're called,
Sluiceways.
they're to get rid of silt. Could we not use the minnow gate, the measuring for the minnow here and be able to sluice that sand out and help with sediment?
Yeah, so under normal operations, I think we do use those gates to sluice. A lot of that sediment that you see, the large deposits actually happen when the 2 arroyos up north, just north of here, run. They bring so much sediment so fast, and the way that since the dam has, we have to use a mule to raise all the gates. We can't open up and respond fast enough to monsoon events to raise all the gates to let the sediment go through. So under normal operations before monsoon season, we are doing that and trying to sluice sediment through and raising gates to do that. But it's hard to keep up with it if it rains and we get a bunch of because you can't keep
It is,
it.
but
Yeah.
I mean, it does get so thick that we can't use the water. It renders all the water useless, you know?
Agree. And so that's one of the things that we're looking at with some of our infrastructure money is after the Bureau of Reclamation finishes their fish passage project, which will be located on the east side of the river, we're looking into being able to mechanize and create automation across the rest of the gates so that the mule won't be needed anymore. But that's not a project we can really do till after the fish passage project that Reclamation is implementing. Mechanization and automation, I think, would give us way more flexibility and be able to do what you want to do more rapidly. And we could, with a push of a button, have all the gates start opening up ahead of a monsoon event. And we just don't have that flexibility right now.
Did you not, somewhere along this new system of cement, did you not have a place you were gonna dredge?
So dredge the low flow or dredge the,
I'm sorry, the channel.
so
I'm sorry,
the,
the main canal.
the main canal further to the south, there's an earthen section that is not being lined, that will stay earthen to be a spot to accumulate sediment and dredge out.
Just a wider spot along the ditch that slows the water down and.
That's correct. It was increased in width by about 20%, to be able to allow sediment to drop there and for us to be able to dredge it out.
Will this new lining, what keeps this new lining from building up silt in the bottom of it? Is it the grade? Will the grade be sufficient enough, or how will you clean it, or will it build up?
So it will build under certain circumstances, sediment will continue to build. It's just the nature of a ditch. What we have seen in concrete line sections. So I'm going to go super technical hydraulics here. In open channel flow, there's what we call a roughness factor associated with the ditch. When it's an earthen line ditch with vegetation, that roughness factor is almost double what concrete is. And so one of the things through a channel lined section is you won't accumulate weeds, you won't accumulate those kinds of things. So you have a static roughness that stays throughout the whole water column. And while we will accumulate sediment, it will accumulate at a lower rate. And in some instances, higher, when it returns back to low sediment yield, some of that sediment will be mobilized as well. So there will always be a maintenance on a concrete ditch. Every concrete ditch will likely have sediment, but we expect that we will see a reduction.
So basically, the cement's going to run at a higher velocity and not build up as much. Is that what you're saying?
So all that sediment's going to end up in your farm field instead of our ditch.
Right. Then I'll have to re-laser but Casey's got money for that.
But it will allow us to move water more rapidly from north to south when
I'm happy
in
to
changing
see it.
conditions.
I'm
Pick your poison.
not an engineer, but I'm sure partial to the last group last year.
Proceed.
Next slide, please. The last project I will be giving an update on is the Belen Highline Canal overflow structure. The total contract amount for this project is $1,561,875. And the amount spent to date is $293,514. Currently, the contractor is about 40% complete. They're currently pouring the channel line section of the overflow and are on track to finish the channel section prior to the start of irrigation season. In the video, we can see the contractor pouring a cutoff wall for the in-channel section. Next slide, please.
Is that a waste gate or what is that?
So, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, that project is specifically tied to our settlement agreement with Fort Otters over Belen Highline litigation.
But
It's an emergency overflow.
And it's just a short video of just the contractor's progress so far.
So you're doing the work inside the High Line right now before irrigation season, but the work on the spillway section down the bank onto the orchard will continue
Correct.
until the job's done.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
That concludes our presentation. We wanted to acknowledge and thank our colleague, Mitch, Georgina, for being able to capture all the beautiful imagery we presented today. And then, thank you, and we stand for any questions on any of the projects.